All right, so you definitely thought to yourself, I wish I was a UFC fighter. These guys are all good looking as hell. They're sexy as hell. They're jacked. They have money. They have clout. They get the hottest girls. Well, you have like 2 decent pictures of yourself on your phone. These guys beaten up, bloodied, and bruised, who get punched in the face for a living, look better than you do. Now, we already know that being a UFC fighter, being in top-notch physical shape, having a 10 out of 10 jacked aesthetic body will make you look very, very attractive. When we even layer the top 500 UFC fighters' faces, we see that they just have a natural look of attractiveness, masculinity, and confidence the majority of the population lacks. But I'm gonna break down in an autistically detailed level why these guys are so facially attractive and what you can do to get similar facial results.
How that sound? Yeah, that sound good. Tell them break it down. I saw Wendy's in your town. Don't forget the dollar sign. How that sound? Yeah, that sound good. Tell them get in line. Hold it down, hold it down. Came up from the underground. How that sound? Yeah, that sound good. Sounds good. How that sound? Yeah, that sound good. Sounds good. How that sound? Yeah, that sound good.
So first up, they have a very strong reduction in nasolabial folds. These are the creases in your skin from your nose to the tip of your mouth that make everybody look more aged, sagged, unhealthy, and have worse overall skin. What I've noticed is that the UFC fighters in my combat sports gym, they have a mouth guard in when they're sparring, which is like 2 to 3 times per week, light sparring. But also the majority of them are doing basic striking work on the bag, or excuse me, on the pads, or they are grappling, they're doing wrestling or jiu-jitsu. They also have a mouth guard in their mouth, specifically because they're going at such an intense level. They don't want to risk an elbow, a knee into their mouth. And the crazy thing is, because a mouth guard protrudes out of your mouth, it lifts the skin in front of your gums and your lips, which basically tightens up your skin and reduces these nasolabial folds. And fun fact, there's actually some companies out there like Angel Lifts that sell these little things you pop in on the top and bottom of your gums, specifically do the same thing that a mouth guard does. But secondly, adding on to this, when the mouth guard is in their mouth, they're not actually just like keeping it in there, you know, gently. They're biting down on it hard, because if you don't bite down your mouth guard, you can risk somebody hitting you and you'll bite your own tongue, which is very unpleasant, trust me. It also helps you absorb impact better, and it also protects your jaw if somebody hits you square and it might dislocate your jaw. And this is very important, because realize that your skull is not one solid piece of bone. It's made up of dozens of pieces of bone that all come together, and it changes over time. So why you look very differently as a kid than as you do now. And specifically, biting down very hard and or chewing very tough fibrous foods and all this stuff will specifically strengthen the muscles around your jaw, and over time force your jaw to protrude outwards, give you this tough skull warrior shape that all of our ancestors had. Because our ancestors were also biting down hard. They were chewing raw tree bark, tough meat, hard fibrous raw veggies and plants. And because of this, they were chewing for very long amounts for the entire day. Our ancestors spent 1/3 of their day just chewing food, and chimpanzees, our closest relatives, spend half of their day just chewing. And in our modern world, people only chew for like 5 to 10% of their day. They're chewing very soft, mashed up, pre-processed, pre-cooked food, sliced meat. And because of that, our jaws are not trained to chew these hard foods, and they're shrinking. We have an epidemic of people's jaws receding back into their skulls, which causes a whole bunch of teeth issues, braces, Invisalign, needing wisdom teeth removals, that people throughout history just didn't have the level that we have now. Now, you can mimic biting down and chewing hard by chewing very tough gums. For example, I chew the Jawliner Facial Fitness Gum, which is the hardest gum on the entire market that I've tried. Phalem also has some very tough gum as well. Both these are linked to my supplementation kit below if you're interested. But similarly, if you're an MMA fighter and you're biting down hard on this mouth guard 24/7, you will, of course, create these very strong jaw muscles, which over time, especially if you're under age 25, but the earlier the better, will cause your jaw to protrude outward, which makes you look very masculine and just sexy as hell. And I've looked this up. Most UFC fighters started training at a very, very young age. It could have been boxing, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, etc. But even high school sports like wrestling required a mouth guard to bite down on. But the other very important thing with having a mouth guard and clenching is you're forced to breathe through your nose, which the majority of people do not do. The majority of people, the villagers out there, are mouth breathers, walking around Target It looks absolutely pathetic. You better not have your mouth open right now. Because when you breathe through your mouth, one, it's just very inefficient because you are heating up that air before it enters your body. And then secondly, you're not able to exhale enough CO2 compared to if you were breathing through your nose. And when you can't exhale enough CO2, it stays in your bloodstream where it causes you to be more stressed out and have more like health-related issues down the line. And then it also causes like dry mouth when you wake up in the middle of the night. It causes you to have bad breath. So many issues. Just please shut your mouth and learn to breathe through your nose. Importantly, when you have your mouth hanging open the whole day or you're chewing food with your mouth open, you will weaken the jaw muscles around your face, which will lead to a very saggy, droopy jaw on top of your jaw receding back. And a powerful jaw is like the biggest symbol of masculinity and high testosterone in men. So if you have a weak jaw, which is recessed backwards, and you're breathing through your mouth where your jaw muscles are so weak and your skin sagging around them, they're drooping down, it gives you a very unaesthetic look that thankfully none of these UFC fighters have because they have a mouth guard. Now, next up is resistance training. You already know, okay, all these UFC fighters lift weights, cool, whatever, but specifically the neck and the traps. At the gym I go to, Gaston Bolaños trains there, and I've seen him train his neck. And for obvious reasons, as you would imagine, having a thicker neck protects you from general injury, protects you from strikes to your face and absorbing blows much better, helps when someone's trying to choke you out, better control when grappling, etc. But even if you don't train your neck directly, just engaging in grappling, jiu-jitsu, but especially wrestling, when guys are like forcing your head down, you will start to develop a very strong neck. And you're thinking, okay, but what does a big neck matter in terms of looking more attractive? It makes a massive difference. Your neck is always visible when someone looks at your face. And when celebrities have had their necks photoshopped to be larger or smaller, you can see how when it looks smaller, they just look so much goofier, childish, sillier, just emasculated men compared to their exact same counterpart with a thicker neck. So these UFC fighters training their neck either directly or engaging in grappling or both will make them look so much more facially attractive. Wait, similar to neck, the traps are also very important because when these grow bigger, it obviously shortens your neck, which makes it look bigger, but also having these just angled traps gives you the sick look of strength and stoicism and power, whereas these flat traps give you a very mundane, boring look. And of course, UFC fighters do prioritize traps, especially through deadlifts and shrugs. And now that I've told you this, when you look at other UFC fighters, you will notice, oh wait, they actually do have a thick neck and big traps because it makes you subconsciously look so much better. Now, next up, which you know is coming is high testosterone. When you are a UFC fighter and preparing for a fight, your body will produce more testosterone to prepare you for the demands of combat, including more strength and more aggression, simply because of your fight or flight response. But now, because you have more testosterone in your body, that difference will show up on your face. You see a more defined Adam's apple, thicker facial hair on their beard and their eyebrows, a stronger ridgeline, a more prominent jawline. Higher testosterone levels are associated with a stronger, more protrudent jaw, and then of course, more muscle mass, which will show up in your neck and your traps as we discussed. And remember, these UFC fighters have been doing some sort of intense physical combat, whether it's wrestling in high school, boxing at a young age, for a very, very long time. So as they had more and more competitions, fights, etc., they've had higher testosterone levels from a very young age to help them develop as they grow older and pick up these features with time. Now, you can make an argument that higher testosterone levels will actually lead to more sebum oil being produced. It's an oil that basically comes on top of your face that clogs pores, increase your risk of acne, redness, discoloration, miscoloration, pigmentation issues, cracks, etc. But being a UFC MMA fighter, you are working out every single day, and especially cardio heavy workouts, not these like gym bro workouts on your phone. And when you have an amazing exercise routine like they do, which we'll discuss in just a second, it will increase circulation. It'll make you sweat a lot, which will unclog your pores. It's an amazing way to reduce your stress. You know, after an intense MMA workout, you're not thinking about anything in the world. You're not thinking about how you lied on your taxes, that cute girl at the counter. When you're in the cage with somebody else, they are your entire world. You don't have the ability to be stressed about anything else in your life. These will all just decimate the negative effects of sebum oil. All UFC fighters, generally speaking, have skin that's clear of acne, blemishes, discoloration, miscoloration issues, etc. There are, of course, some exceptions, guys that are on TRT, guys that are on steroids, but generally speaking, they all have clear skin because they are healthy. Which brings us to the next point I want to cover. When you are healthy, yes, you will have bright, luscious skin, which is very visible on your face, but you also have clear and bright eyes. You'll also have a symmetrical face. You will also have a healthy hair and healthy scalp. It'll also ensure that you have nice and full lips. You will have a youthful appearance. And that's simply because these guys all exercise efficiently, which I know sounds like autistically simple, but realize that exercise is the greatest tool you have to improve your health and live longer. People like online overcomplicate, these biohackers, take this pill, do this, do that. But exercise triumphs diet, it triumphs sleep, it triumphs mental health, journaling, meditation. All this stuff combined is not as powerful as exercise for improving your life and making you look more attractive. And these MMA fighters train every single day. But specifically what I find interesting is they just happen to train in the two most efficient ways for improving their health, which is zone 2 and VO2 max. So being healthy doesn't just show up on your body, it shows very clearly on your face. And then of course, these guys being fighters have also dialed in their sleep and diet as well, which also makes a significant difference in improving your facial attractiveness. There are last couple things I want to point out. All these UFC fighters are in the sauna before they need to actually cut weight to meet like the fight criteria. And people don't realize that saunas are one of the best things you can do to improve your longevity and health. Because when you're in the sauna, yes, there is a temperature difference, force your body to go into overdrive and hence make you more healthy, improve your skin, your hair, your face, everything. But additionally, saunas purge estrogenics out of your body. So estrogenics, if you don't know, are hormone disruptors. And these ones specifically raise your body's estrogen levels and tank its testosterone, leaving you fat, sick, infertile, and so much more. And these estrogenics are so prevalent in our modern day world, in the foods you eat, the water you drink, the clothing you wear, the paint on your walls. It's a story for another day, but essentially you would believe me that there's toxins in our world around us. When you're in the sauna, heat from the sauna is burning your fat molecules at a very rapid pace. And these estrogenics, these hormone disruptors, this nasty stuff inside of you is getting expunged from your body in the form of sweat, while new fat cells get created that are free of these toxins. So the point is, these UFC fighters going to the sauna contributes to them being even more healthier and also increases their testosterone levels. These estrogenics are not inside of their body, artificially lowering their T levels. This is, of course, a very long subject. I cover it in detail in my entire course called Triple Your Testosterone. But if you're interested right now, you want a brief summary of it, I have a completely free testosterone-safe skincare routine linked below to look good, feel good, and attract girls. But now, secondly, realize that your bones work very similar to your muscles in terms of growth. When we're in the gym, we're lifting heavy weights, bench, overhead, lateral raises, etc. We're not growing our muscles. Yes, you have a pump from blood flowing to them, but you're making micro tears in your muscles. And then the protein gives you the amino acids you need to rebuild those muscles to be bigger and stronger, and sleep gives you the time to actually rebuild it all. Our bones work in the same way. When you get hit on your bone creates micro fractures in it that regrow bigger and stronger. This is why for kickboxing, they have us hit our shins with a wooden bat. So over time, our shins harden. And you see these guys kick like steel poles because they've trained their bones to be so much stronger. And I believe your face works in the exact same way. Think about it like this. These UFC fighters have been getting hit in the face. So their bones in their face have started to become harder, more dense, and toughened up from these micro fractures, which is why the bones around their face seem to be so much more angled and defined and tougher than most average people's bones, making them look more attractive. One thing I've noticed with MMA fighters, but especially boxers, is their eyes are sunk deep into their face. It's as if getting hit in the face again and again and again has forced their facial bones to grow back bigger, stronger, thicker to protect their eyes, and hence making them look more attractive. Now, to be fair, you could make an argument that there are conflicting factors. We only see UFC fighters when they're actually there on fight night, when they've cut a ton of weight, hence their body fat is low and their face does look very chiseled and angled. And then also UFC fighters are generally, especially the ones that we know by name, are rich, they're jacked, and they're successful. And you can't uncorrelate those things. Like if I showed you a UFC fighter and told you, hey, it's a UFC fighter, you would assume their face looks more attractive because our brain works in terms of correlations. So you seeing their jacked body, then seeing their face, you assume their face is more attractive because of their jacked body. You knowing they're rich, then seeing their face, you assume their face is more attractive. You can also argue that people who make it to the UFC are a very skewed demographic of the population, people who naturally have very high testosterone levels, who are more aggressive, who are more handsome even, because that does sell fights, and hence have also stronger genetics for thicker bones, which makes them look more attractive, and things of that nature. Essentially, the UFC is so competitive, people who get into it have a genetic advantage. Had they not gone to the UFC, they still would look attractive because of their genetics. But I still believe that you being a UFC fighter will make you facially more attractive. It will lead to you having so much more success in your life based on all these factors we caused. I've even noticed the guys who go to my gym for jiu-jitsu, for kickboxing, for boxing, there is a correlation. The better the guy is in the gym, the hotter his girlfriend, the more attractive he is, the more rich he is, and so much more. And in my opinion, it's also a positive feedback loop because these guys are forcing themselves to be tough, to be confident, to be aggressive, to make sure that they'll win a fight. You can't walk into a fight and think, oh, I'm gonna lose whatever I'll fight. No way. You have to have the mindset that I will win this fight, even if you know you're gonna be outmatched. Because without hope, there's just no fight. There's nothing to even fight for. So I believe that these guys having this confidence in their mind, then going out into the real world, they will bag the hottest girl. They're not scared to talk to her. They will go after the best job because they're not scared of rejection. And it really is a positive feedback loop. Their confidence, at the bare minimum, just their confidence in the gym and leveling up in these sports will lead to so much more success in day-to-day life. Now, we've covered a bunch of stuff in this video. I went on quite a few tangents, but generally you understand if you train to be an MMA fighter, you will look more attractive. Yes, you can mimic these things in day-to-day life. You can buy angel lifts or just wear a mouth guard at home and bite down on it hard. You can get very hard chewing gum. You can just train zone 2 or VO2 max intervals at home. But I'm making this video because I highly recommend you actually go to a UFC or MMA gym, a jiu-jitsu gym, kickboxing gym, a boxing gym, and learn how to actually fight. I'm not gonna lie to you, when I walked into an MMA gym for the first time, I was very scared and intimidated. I had these random scenarios in my head. What if everyone beats me up? What if I pee my pants? What if I vomit on like the carpet or the floor or the path or somebody hits me really hard? But ultimately, it was one of the best decisions I've made in my entire life. It skyrocketed my confidence, made me so many more friends, put me in fantastic physical condition. I thought, you know, I go to the gym, I lift weights, I'm in good shape. Absolutely not. When you get whooped in that gym, oh my God. And also, it's taught me about myself. It's showed me where my deficiencies are. And I'm so glad I took that leap of faith. And as I've shown you, it's likely made me more facially attractive with a mouth guard and everything happening. It's overall just made me into a better man. So I highly recommend you sign up for a gym as well. I know it's a bit scary, but give it a shot. Look up on Google MMA gyms near me, find one with good reviews. They usually have a 1 or 2 week free trial. And think about it like this. In terms of just working out, we talk about exercise is the greatest tool you have to live longer, be healthier, and it shows on your face. 80% of Americans don't even work out. And of the 20% that do, 80% of them is just walking. Of the guys who go to the gym, like imagine like the regular lifting weights gym you go to, most guys there are still out of shape. If you go to an MMA gym, you will be in better shape than 99.99% of the population. You will be in better shape than 10,000 or 1,000 other people around. Think about how crazy that is. Chances are if you watch my content, you want to be that way. You want to be exceptional and you will have tremendous benefits to your life by training MMA. So I highly recommend you sign up for it, or at least just give it a shot and see what happens. Anyway, if you did take value from this video, link it to a friend to help them out. Wishing you all the best. You are one step closer and I'll talk to you tomorrow.